Hello, I'm Montse Alvarado. Welcome to EWTN Pro-Life Weekly.
This is not just a collection of cells. This is a child that, if delivered, will live.
A forced pregnancy does not have to make headlines to make someone's life a living hell.
Clashing views on Capitol Hill during a hearing on pro-life laws ahead of the November elections.
I rise today to talk about the Pregnant Workers Fairness Act.
Legislation to protect expecting mothers twisted to accommodate abortion. The U.S. Catholic bishops are challenging the mandate in court.
A lot of people are scared to talk about the life issue and to stand up for, especially in government.
Fail or pass. The second annual pro-life report card is out on the lawmakers and states that are supporting a culture of life.
When I was able to get my abortion and receive care, that was the first time I was able to sleep more than 3 hours. And I woke up and I looked at my mom and I started crying because I was like, I got to sleep. I can finally breathe. And this huge weight just lifted off my chest.
Could you imagine a child in your own life being subjected to so-called medical interventions intended to weaken, starve, burn, or dismember them limb by limb until they die? This is the reality of abortion.
Strong testimonies shared on Capitol Hill this week during a hearing on abortion laws. In the 2 years since the overturning of Roe v. Wade, 41 states have enacted some type of pro-life laws, and many took it to the ballot box for voters to decide. EWTN Pro-Life Weekly, along with the Catholic News Agency, tracks all of the ballot measures. You can see the latest map on the Catholic News Agency website. Democrats and pro-abortion doctors at the hearing claimed that healthcare providers were in a state of chaos and confusion due to abortion bans, which forced them to limit their care for patients. The pro-life side emphasized that more resources are needed for women, including counseling and the choice to choose life. Chemical abortions were a particular focus.
Ensure that we can maintain access to medication abortion, right? Medication abortion now accounts for 2/3 of all abortions in this country as of 2023. And in rural areas like yours, it's incredibly important to have that option via telehealth for folks who can't reach a provider or when they live in communities, as the doctor said, that don't have providers, given the limited access to providers that they have.
More and more women are deciding after taking that first drug, the mifepristone pill, that they regret their decision and they desire to save their child's life. And I know this because I'm a member of the Abortion Pill Reversal Network. I'm a provider of that treatment, which involves giving a woman natural progesterone, which can counteract the effects of the first drug, mifepristone.
Doctors and witnesses went on to discuss the supposed safety and efficacy of abortion pills, as well as the abortion pill reversal drug. The U.S. Supreme Court is currently deciding on a case challenging the approval and deregulation of the abortion pill mifepristone. We're closely following that case and will bring you the ruling, which is expected in the coming weeks. Some Republican lawmakers have introduced a bill to help build a culture of life. The More Opportunities for Moms to Succeed, or MOMS Act, introduced by Senators Marsha Blackburn of Tennessee and Katie Britt of Alabama, would establish a federal database of pregnancy resource centers, adoption agencies, and other resources available to expecting and new mothers. It would also list funding opportunities for healthcare entities to access pregnancy support, establish a grant program for nonprofits to support pregnant mothers, and provide tools for telehealth appointments. Keeping a close eye on both pro-life and pro-abortion legislation is Students for Life Action. They write up an annual report card breaking down the votes, legislation, co-sponsorships, and stances in defense of the preborn in the congressional cycle. A broad view of the pro-life stances for members of Congress across the U.S. is reflected in this map. 10 states with the most pro-life representative and state delegations got an A grade and are highlighted in blue. 12 states shown in green got a B average. Grades of C and D are shown in yellow and orange, respectively. And 22 states failed. Those are shown in red. Savannah Deritich, Government Affairs Coordinator for Students for Life Action, joins us now to go a little deeper into this report. Savannah, welcome. What prompted your team to develop this report card, and what kind of an impact has it had?
Absolutely. Thank you for that question. Thank you for having me on today. This report card is really important because, especially in today's day and age, a lot of people are scared to talk about the life issue and to stand up for, especially in government. It's a very polarizing issue, but it's something we need to stand up for, especially pro-life Republicans in government. And this report card helps to keep those Republicans accountable, because then they know that after we get their results from their votes, their co-sponsorships, we tell their constituents, here is how your representative or your senator voted. And then that helps keep them in check to be able to stand for life strongly, and to also to keep their constituents, to let them know that they are voting pro-life.
So now what does that look like? Do you have a team calling the congressional offices, or do you follow the votes virtually? How do you get that done?
Absolutely. So I am the person with the boots in the ground, so I watch votes as well as keep track of, we have platforms online where we keep track of votes for very key pieces of legislation like the Born Alive Protection Act, the Heartbeat Act, the Chemical Abortion, Ending Chemical Abortion Act. We keep track, whether that's online or through communicating in our relationships with offices on co-sponsorships and votes. And we have a team that does that. And so we do that whether it's communications or looking online, because co-sponsorships and votes are publicly posted online.
Absolutely. Well, we'll talk about Republicans in a second. You mentioned them, but your report does blast the Democratic Party, giving the entire caucus an F grade. What is the leading cause of this grade, and has there been a shift from last year's report?
Great question. Yeah, it is utterly clear that the Democrat Party are very extreme and pro-abortion activists. They actually do not represent more than 9 in 10 of their constituents. More than 9 in 10 of the youth vote actually disagrees with the Democrats Party on abortion. They think there should be restrictions despite them being pro-abortion, and they disagree with the Biden administration's views on chemical abortion, getting rid of the safeguards. So it is clear the American people disagree with the Democrat Party, and the Democrats are not representing the American people when it comes to abortion. Some of the pieces of legislation that they voted on that are extreme, they voted against the Born Alive Protection Act in January. That is legislation that anyone should support. That is basically saying that babies that are born from a failed abortion should be treated as a patient. When they're outside the room, they're breathing, they're viable, and every single Democrat voted against it. So it is utterly clear that they are getting worse in their abortion extremism and not representing the American people.
And certainly why you gave them an F. Well, Republicans are often misrepresented as more pro-life, but this report shows the reality. Where are Republican representatives falling short?
Absolutely. Yeah, it is sad. Even though we do have strong pro-life Republicans in Congress, it's definitely dwindling, which is something that's why Students for Life Action has this report card. And that's why we engage on a very strong level, on a personal level with offices and staff to make sure that they have the messaging, the resources to stay strong on the life issue, especially with media and the Democrats and all the polarization of the issue, especially the ballot initiatives and Roe being overturned. A lot of Republicans are getting scared and they think it's a losing issue, when even though they may think it's a losing issue, they cannot stop talking about it. This isn't the right to life is the first and fundamental human right and if we don't have the right to life, no other rights exist. So it's important that we drill that into legislators to let them know that this is something they cannot back down on. And Republicans, I think, are getting nervous and squishy. So this is why it's so important that groups have these report cards and are actively communicating with offices to make sure that they do not get squishy in the issue.
Well, we're certainly glad that you're out there making sure that they don't welch. So take care, and we'll keep tracking this with you.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
The state of Oklahoma made oral argument last Friday in their lawsuit against the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services in a case centered on federal funding for family planning. For decades, Oklahoma has received Title X grants, which are used to provide a broad range of family planning services. But in 2021, the Biden administration issued a new rule requiring Title X facilities to counsel and refer for abortions. The state of Oklahoma, where abortion is illegal unless the life of the mother is at risk, refused to comply with the rule. The federal agency pulled millions in Title X funding.
The statute says that the federal government cannot provide Title X funding to entities which are engaged in the practice of abortion. And so the workaround that the administration has come up with in this regulation, this rule, is that those organizations can be compelled to counsel for abortions and to refer to abortions, even if they're not actually engaging in the practice of abortion. And that's just a complete mangling of congressional intent when they pass the funding prohibition. And it also violates at least 4 different federal rules that protect the conscience rights of pro-life doctors who don't want to be engaging in counseling and referral of abortions.
This case could have major implications for other pro-life states. We'll update you when a ruling comes down.
Everyone from the ACLU to the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops to the U.S. Chamber of Commerce supports this legislation.
Legislation to protect pregnant workers that once drew bipartisan support is now subject to a lawsuit after a federal agency issued regulations to accommodate abortion. The Pregnant Workers Fairness Act is a federal law designed to protect expecting mothers in the workforce so that they can have a healthy pregnancy and a healthy baby. During congressional debates, lawmakers were clear that the law does not require employers to accommodate abortion. But the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission is mandating that employers nationwide must accommodate employee abortions. The U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops have filed a preemptive lawsuit to protect religious liberty. Daniel Blomberg, Vice President and Senior Counsel for the Becket Fund for Religious Liberty, is an attorney on the case and can tell us more about it. Daniel, welcome to Pro-Life Weekly. This looks like a preemptive strike on behalf of the U.S. bishops to protect their institutions from having to pay for and provide abortion leave. Why did they have to resort to this move?
Thank you, Monse. It's great to be here. And yeah, it's very much a defensive shield. And you're exactly right. They had to resort to it precisely because, unfortunately, the federal government hijacked a bipartisan, common sense, uncontroversial law to protect pregnant women and unborn babies and turned it into an abortion accommodation mandate. That's not what anyone intended. It's not necessary, and it's not helpful. So that's what the USCCB is trying to fix that problem, along with other Catholic ministries like Catholic University of America, the Diocese of Lake Charles, and the Diocese of Lafayette, all working together to try to make sure that in America we can protect pregnant mothers and pregnant and unborn children without having to accommodate abortion.
You know, this feels like deja vu. This is something that the bishops have dealt with in the past. There was overwhelming support for universal health care, and all of a sudden abortion was slipped in through the back room. Here we are again almost a decade later, and you're trying to protect mothers and their babies, and again abortion is being stuck in. What is going on with the government's regulatory process that this is allowed to happen?
Well, that's exactly the problem. This really does feel like the Little Sisters of the Poor case all over again, where over a decade ago, the Obama administration chose to force religious ministries across the nation to pay for abortion drugs and for contraceptives and include them as part of their health care plans. And now after court ruling after court ruling after court ruling saying that was both unnecessary and illegal, we're right back where we started. And unfortunately, now it's the EEOC that's trying to require every workplace in America, hundreds of millions of Americans working in these different workplaces, over 100 million Americans, and they're all going to have to accommodate abortion, even though Congress not only didn't say a single word about abortion in the Pregnant Workers Fairness Act, every supporter in Congress, every single one, expressly said this is uncontroversial, this is simple, this is common sense. And one even said, I can't imagine anything less controversial. And in modern America, you cannot say that about an abortion accommodation mandate.
Right. Well, let's get into that a little bit. When this passed in 2022, the support for mothers was overwhelming. What are the consequences then if the bishops lose this case?
Well, it's really significant. So now like I said, almost every private workplace in the country that has more than 15 employees is going to have to accommodate abortions. And so most of these workplaces, especially Catholic workplaces, are already fully committed to and want to support pregnant mothers and unborn children. They're doing that already, and they're very excited about it. But what they're going to be required to do now is, because they're protecting pregnant mothers, expectant mothers, and unborn babies, they're also going to have to accommodate abortions. And this will mean changing the way they talk about pro-life policies in the workplace. If they have employees that are talking about their beliefs, their Catholic beliefs, supporting the sanctity of human life, then that could be understood by the EEOC to create a kind of threatening or hostile environment, which would be a basis for a lawsuit against that religious ministry. And so this is gonna end up being a type of speech restriction on Catholic workplaces, Catholic ministries, requiring those employers to limit the ability to express pro-life views in the workplace, because otherwise EEOC, which has obviously shown itself very willing to push abortion into the workplace, can find that that's a violation of the law.
Well, it sounds like the Department of Labor has really overstepped its bounds. Is there anything coming up that might restrict their ability to force these regulations and accommodations on religious employers and just people who disagree with abortion altogether?
Very much so. There's several lawsuits nationwide now that are seeking to keep the law back to its intended purpose. They're trying to protect the Pregnant Workers Fairness Act and ensure that law does what it's intended to do and doesn't force an abortion accommodation mandate on the country. There are cases pending in several different jurisdictions, new ones that are being brought, and my firm, on behalf of USCCB, will be in front of a federal judge next week asking for protection for the plaintiffs in our case.
Well, we're going to be watching that very carefully. Godspeed, Daniel.
Thank you, Monse.
Advocates for assisted suicide chanting, "Stop the suffering," passed the bill, briefly interrupted a New York State Assembly session at the end of May. The bill to legalize medical aid in dying in New York has yet to reach the floor for a vote since it was introduced back in 2016, but it's slowly gaining support. It would allow terminally ill adults with no more than 6 months to live to get prescriptions for life-ending medications. The New York State Catholic Conference is opposing the bill.
My own father, I always use as an example, is someone who had a 6-month diagnosis and lived more than 2 years. So we know that that's a flawed standard right from the get-go. What we fear is it will lead to coercion for people to end their lives who don't want to. People, for instance, who are isolated, elderly isolated patients, patients who are getting subtle pressures from family members, or maybe from insurance companies who don't want to pay hefty medical bills and where a suicide pill is cheaper.
Physician-assisted suicide is legal in 10 jurisdictions in the United States that you see highlighted on your screen, including Hawaii, California, Washington, D.C., and Maine. In Montana, it's authorized under the state's Supreme Court ruling that there are no official policies against it. A tragic story out of the Netherlands, where a physically healthy 29-year-old woman has taken her own life by physician-assisted suicide. The woman said she suffered from depression, anxiety, trauma, and other problems. Under the Dutch euthanasia code, she was granted physician-assisted suicide due to unbearable suffering with no prospect of improvement.
Despite this strong opposition from the Catholic Church, the Netherlands has actually escalated and opened the door to the euthanization of children under 12 back in 2020. And in the year 2022, 8,720 people in the Netherlands ended their lives via euthanasia, media reported, and that was an increase of 14% from the previous year, showing that those warnings of a slippery slope that Cardinal Eck and others have raised over the last 2 years have sadly proven true.
Across Europe, assisted suicide laws have slowly been adopted. Most recently, France's President Emmanuel Macron announced plans for a bill allowing terminally ill adult patients to receive medical assistance in dying. Physician-assisted suicide is legal under certain circumstances in Austria, Belgium, Luxembourg, the Netherlands, Portugal, Spain, and Switzerland. Germany decriminalized assisted suicide, and in Italy, courts have ruled it permissible in some circumstances, but neither country has regulated the practice. A historic first in Mexico. Our neighbors to the south have elected their first female president. Claudia Sheinbaum is also the nation's first Jewish president in a predominantly Catholic country.
Claudia Sheinbaum!
Sheinbaum, a candidate for the ruling Morena party, was announced the winner on Sunday night with an overwhelming majority. She was a leading pro-abortion candidate that is charged with enforcing the 2023 Mexican Supreme Court decision that decriminalized abortion on a federal level. Coming up, listening to a baby's heartbeat in the womb, the gifts one Catholic fraternal organization provides to support the unborn. Plus, bringing women's healthcare to healthcare deserts. The neighborhoods most in need are seeing true support come to their front doorstep. the Storks is a pro-life organization that is quickly growing, with mobile health buses traversing the streets of cities across the U.S. Our former host, Prudence Robertson, spoke with their new CEO, Diane Ferraro, about how they put their pro-life beliefs into action.
Diane, thanks for being here. Tell me first about Save the Storks and its founding, how you guys got off the ground.
Thank you, Prudence, for allowing us to share our ministry with your audience today. Save the Storks actually started with a single mobile medical clinic back in 2012, and it was in partnership with the church and an incredible pregnancy resource center. And over the last 12 years, we've been so blessed that we are now rolling in 34 states across the United States.
Wow. That's amazing. And you do specialize in providing mobile clinics around the country. You have 100 Stork buses now in circulation as of late last year. Talk to me more about your national footprint.
Absolutely. So we know that women who are really in need of true choice and really in need of true health care when it comes to facing an unplanned pregnancy, they're not getting that at Planned Parenthood. So we wanted to do something that came alongside the amazing work of the pregnancy resource centers, and that's where we went mobile. So we have these state-of-the-art mobile medical clinics that are equipped with ultrasound, of course, state-of-the-art ultrasound, but each unit is custom built based on what the community needs are. And these units really go out to the community where women who are considered the least of these can receive free services with licensed medical professionals on board the mobile medical clinic.
And talk to me a little bit more about those resources that moms have access to on a Stork bus. Kind of walk me through what a visit would look like for a mom who's considering her choices.
Oh my gosh, yes. So a woman might hear about our mobile medical clinic through her local church, through the pregnancy center, through a college campus, and sometimes the mobile clinics even park outside of bars. Again, different places where young people will be congregating.
Right.
And when they're greeted on a mobile medical clinic, they first are just really introduced to the love and compassion that ministry team will share. So there will often be a nurse manager outside greeting her, or a volunteer. Oftentimes a sidewalk advocate might be there to, really explain to her what's happening if she is in front of a Planned Parenthood and she does have an abortion clinic, an abortion appointment scheduled at that clinic. So what we will do is we'll then walk that woman over to the mobile medical clinic, explain to her what she is going to learn about her baby. She'll be able to hear the heartbeat. She'll be able to see the beautiful picture on an oversized screen in the unit. And she will then be able to connect with that precious child that she's carrying. And again, women are not allowed to hear the heartbeat or see the picture, to see the movement of the baby in Planned Parenthood. And that's why the mobile medical clinics are so critical. And they're positioned right outside oftentimes so that woman can see the truth, see the science of that baby growing inside of her. And then the woman is introduced to all of the resources locally. So if she doesn't feel that she's ready to parent, she will be introduced to adoption. If she is ready to parent, we will then put her in touch with resources that can help her not just be a mom that feels frustrated and tired, but someone who can thrive. We really believe God created every woman to be a mom. And if that woman is ready to parent that child, we are going to put her in touch with all of the best resources so, again, she can thrive as a mom.
Amazing. And Diane, you mentioned you're active in 34 states. Talk to me about the states where there's a greater need now for Stork buses. Which states are you still really working to build up your infrastructure?
Yes. Well, we are blessed that we delivered the 100th mobile clinic to Tennessee, where we are really in dire need. Of course, the state of New York, California, and right here in Colorado, where our ministry is based.
Before I let you go, Diane, how can our viewers, speaking of them, get involved in this ministry? I mean, you're all over the country. How can people learn more?
Absolutely. Well, it's really important to follow us on social media to get all of the updates, get the beautiful stories of hope and empowerment. So follow us on Facebook, on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. You can visit our website at savethestorks.org. We have so many great opportunities to volunteer. We have some church programs. One is called the START course. So if you go to startcourse.org, you can really walk through a lot of training, go through it with your Bible study group, just a women's coffee group, and learn how to reach those young women in your communities who are facing an unplanned pregnancy, and again, reach them with love and compassion. And again, monthly support, one-time gifts are always appreciated. We are 100% donor funded. So if anyone feels led by the Lord to bless our ministry, we will put that to good use and put more mobile medical clinics out across the country.
Well, it is such an important ministry, and we're so grateful for your work and for your time today. Thank you so much, Diane. God bless you.
God bless you, Prudence. Thank you.
One metric reported by Save the Storks estimates that more than 11,000 babies have been saved thanks to women visiting a mobile clinic. The Knights of Columbus have an active role in helping provide resources and materials to both pro-life mobile homes and brick-and-mortar pregnancy centers. The Knights launched their ultrasound program in 2009. Since then, the fraternal organization has donated thousands of ultrasound machines, amounting to more than $72 million to pregnancy centers in all 50 states. They even reach centers in states with extreme abortion laws, like in New Jersey.
The Knights of Columbus have donated, I believe it is 9 ultrasound machines to us. We need a crisp image. We need an image that's provided early on into the pregnancy. And so they are always so responsive when we need to update our machines and upgrade our machines. And so I just appreciate the Knights so much.
You can find out more about the ultrasound program by visiting the Knights of Columbus website at kfc.org. That does it for this edition of EWTN Pro-Life Weekly. Don't forget, you can find us at EWTN Pro-Life on all social media platforms, X, Facebook, Instagram, we're there. And check out our weekly newsletter, The Pro-Life Pulse. Sign up at EWTN.com/pro-life. Remember, life is a gift. Your life is a gift. God bless.